Welcome to today's Psych with Sigmund, where we're going to explore one of the most fascinating topics in psychology, language acquisition. This concept refers to the process by which humans acquire the ability to understand and use language, a fundamental aspect of human communication and cognition. Language acquisition is essential in psychology because it helps us understand how we develop the ability to express our thoughts, emotions, and experiences through words. It's a complex process that involves multiple cognitive, social, and emotional factors, and it's closely tied to other psychological concepts such as cognitive development, social learning, and cultural influences. The concept of language acquisition has been studied by psychologists for decades, with significant contributions from researchers like Noam Chomsky, Jean Piaget, and Lev Vygotsky. Chomsky's theory of universal grammar, for example, suggests that humans are born with an innate ability to acquire language, while Piaget's theory of cognitive development emphasizes the role of social interaction and active learning in language acquisition. Our understanding of language acquisition has evolved significantly over time thanks to advances in research methods and technologies. We now know that language development is a dynamic and interactive process that involves both nature and nurture. For instance, studies have shown that babies as young as 6 months old are able to distinguish between different phonemes or units of sound, which lays the foundation for future language development. One of the most significant research findings in language acquisition is the concept of critical periods. This refers to specific time windows during which language development is most sensitive to environmental input. For example, children who are exposed to a second language before the age of 7 tend to develop native-like proficiency, whereas those who are exposed later in life may struggle with pronunciation and grammar. The case study of Jeannie, a woman who was isolated from language and social interaction for most of her childhood, provides a striking example of the importance of critical periods in language acquisition. Despite being exposed to language as an adult, Jeannie struggled to develop normal language skills, highlighting the significance of early language experience in shaping our ability to communicate effectively. Understanding language acquisition has numerous practical applications in everyday life. For instance, knowledge of language development can inform our approach to teaching and learning languages. By recognizing that language development is a complex, multifaceted process, we can develop more effective language instruction methods that take into account individual differences and learning styles. In therapeutic settings, understanding language acquisition can also inform interventions for individuals with language disorders or delays. For example, speech-language pathologists use evidence-based approaches to help clients develop communication skills, taking into account the client's unique linguistic profile and learning needs. Additionally, research has shown that early intervention and parental involvement can significantly improve language outcomes for children with language impairments. Furthermore, understanding language acquisition can have implications for social policy and education. For instance, bilingual education programs can be designed to support language development in minority language speakers, while also promoting cultural diversity and inclusivity. Similarly, language training programs for immigrants and refugees can be tailored to meet the specific needs of these populations, taking into account their linguistic backgrounds and learning styles. The concept of language acquisition is closely tied to other psychological concepts, such as cognitive biases and heuristics. For example, research has shown that language can influence our perceptions and attitudes, a phenomenon known as linguistic relativity. This highlights the complex interplay between language, culture, and cognition, and underscores the importance of considering language acquisition in a broader social and cultural context. In conclusion, language acquisition is a fundamental concept in psychology that helps us understand how we develop the ability to communicate effectively. By exploring the theoretical background, research findings, and practical applications of this concept, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the intricate workings of the human mind and the complex social contexts in which we live. As we reflect on the significance of language acquisition, it's worth considering the words of linguist Benjamin Lee Whorf, who once said, "Language shapes thought, and thought shapes language." This profound insight highlights the dynamic interplay between language, culture, and cognition, and encourages us to think critically about the role of language in shaping our perceptions, attitudes, and behaviors. That's all for today's Psych with Sigmund. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, may your ego find balance between pleasure and reality.